What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. This is the Discovering Bob Dylan podcast special episode. There's no studio album today. We're not going through the basement tapes. We're not doing some bootleg stuff. We're gonna do a good old-fashioned song ranking here on Taste Like Music. We're counting down our top 20 favorite Bob Dylan songs of the 1960s. I'm going to do a list. Dylan is also going to join in the fun, do his list, which I'm probably more interested in than my own list because it's probably going to be better. I have an idea of what the big songs were of the 60s for Bob Dylan, but I don't really know. I get it. I get the big ones, but I don't know like what order like the critics would have them in. I don't think I've ever looked at like a list of even the best Bob Dylan songs before. So I know the ones that are played, I know the ones that are held in high regard, but I imagine there'll be some surprises from you and maybe from me too. I don't know, maybe my list will be very average. I'm not sure. I know you're the Dylan expert, so you can critique my list and tell me like what I'm missing, what I left off. I mean, there's so much stuff to pull from. Are you going to be busting out like, weird bootlegs and stuff like that? Or are you going to keep it clean from the studio discographies?
We'll be doing this for every decade. And certainly starting with the 70s, I'll start on the whole. Here's a cut from Bootleg Series Volume 10, so on and so forth. But nope, this one was actually pretty straightforward for me. Not only is it pretty straightforward in terms of no bootlegs or anything like that. When it came out to it, it looks like all 20 of my songs actually come from 6 records. I had a lot of stuff that was bubbling under. Even Positively 4th Street didn't quite make it. It was right there underneath. Couple songs from John Wesley Harding and Nashville Skyline almost made it, but my
Wow.
list from an album perspective isn't the most diverse, and but there is. I mean, we could have easily, or I could have easily done a top 100 from the 60s. Just so much material, but I'm gonna spare you. I
That
didn't,
would have pushed it for me. I don't know. It would take me a long time to narrow that down to a cool 100. Might as well kick things off with you. You can do your 20 to 11. Then I'll jump in, do my 20 to 11. You'll do your 10 to 1. I'll do my 10 to 1. And then we'll see what we got. We'll see what we're dealing with.
All right, then. I will start. My number 20 from another side of Bob Dylan is To Ramona. I love the lilting waltz and melody of this song, the Shakespearean lyrics. I really adore the personal nature of a lot of songs on another side, and I think To Ramona in particular is a great example of kind of some of the prowess that he hadn't initially tapped into as much. On number 19, A Hard Rain's a Gonna Fall. I mean, what can you say? Equally beautiful and apocalyptic, sprawling but never boring, just an absolute powerhouse. Number 18, I have Most Likely You Go Your Way and I'll Go Mine from Blonde on Blonde. Great prototypical sneering Dylan lyric propped up against a really great chord progression and a really good melody to boot. You got Charlie McCoy, who we've talked about a lot recently, playing the trumpet on this one, which kind of adds a bit of a pep to the soundscape. Always really loved that one. And number 17, also from Blonde on Blonde, I've got Stuck Inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. Much like Most Likely You Go Your Way, awesome chord progression and melody. I think that Bob's vocal really echoes the isolation and paranoia of the lyric. And, one of his calling cards throughout his career has been these super long tracks, but this is one of those that, to me, never feels like 7.5 minutes long. I think it moves by so briskly. It keeps me super engaged. Just a hell of a song. And now I'm going on a unprecedented run of songs from Bringing It All Back Home. Number 16, we've got Love Mine is Zero, No Limit. Gorgeous love song. So many classic lines. She doesn't have to say she's faithful, yet she's true like ice, like fire. She knows there's no success like failure, and that failure's no success at all. Nice reined in vocal performance from Bob. Simple but very effective melody. Number 15, I have It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. A not as simple melody, one of the most expansive in his entire catalog. Just a brilliant feeling of mournfulness across this song. I love the way that William E. Lee's bass part kind of dances around the song. It just gives it that extra boost of sonic enhancement. Number 14, got Subterranean Homesick Blues. Perfect kickoff track, proto hip hop delivery. So many classic lines packed into a really short song. I mean, come on, Maggie's got Fleetwood, face full of black soot, talking that the heat put plants in the bed, but so on and so forth. Just badass in every way. Love his delivery on that song. Number 13, I've got one that will 1000% not be making your list, Mr. Tambourine Man. Sorry that it doesn't have your birdsy harmonies or your 12-string guitars, but for me, the psychedelic lyrics create enough of the tapestry. Some of my favorite Dylan lyrics of all time, which is saying something, and one of my favorite melodies as well. And the run of Bringing It All Back Home ends at number 12 with She Belongs to Me, which kind of marries like the cool mid-60s Bob Dylan swagger with the emotionalism of the personal love songs that he's begun writing around this time. His delivery on that opening line, she's got everything she needs, she's not as she don't look bad, like that's so much cooler than anything you'll ever hear by most artists. And I hate using cool as a determining factor, but I don't know what other word to use. And my number 11, just missing the top 10, is Just Like a Woman from Blonde on Blonde. I think one of the best examples of the Blonde on Blonde, wild, thin Mercury sound. I love the bed of guitars and Al Cooper's organ that kind of sets the scene perfectly for that hazy Dylan vocal, singing some really pointed lyrics that are very clearly masking a lot of pain. I love it, but just missing the top 10.
All right, we got some in common. Couple couple ones that close to my top 20. I was considering them. My list is going to be a little more basic, I think. Although I think every Dylan album except two are represented, and that's including the basement tape. So we'll get going here. Number 20, a basic B, The Times They Are a Changin'. I just think it's one of the best protest, best social consciousness songs. I mean, it was one of the first. It inspired so many people, and it just has a really effective hook for how simple it is. It gets lodged in your memory like a pop song would, and I think that's very impressive from a folk tune like that. Number 19, I got Queen Jane Approximately. It's really like the full band performance. Yeah, it's in the vein of like a Rolling Stone, right down to those burbling organ parts. You got a nice chipper guitar. Number 18, I'm gonna go with Gates of Eden. I think one of his best and most mysterious acoustic guitar jams. Cribs some lyrics and words and ideas from William Blake, who I love. And he kind of weaves it all together in a really strange and apocalyptically beautiful little folk number. Number 17, Blown in the Wind. Another, it's too obvious to leave off my list. It was a rallying cry for generations. It's not hokey lyrically, but it's very sort of like bright-eyed and like, young youth energy. But it's a really pure intent and he sings it well. And it's not, simple because you get that ambiguity of blown in the wind. Is it gone away? Is it sort of the answer? You got to search for it in the wind. It's brainy. It's a brainy little idea for such a young songwriter. Very impressive. Number 16, I'm gonna go with A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. Really good singing on the chorus. I really like the guitar playing. It's another simple song that he makes more than the sum of its parts, I think. Number 15, I'm going to go with Too Much of Nothing. which the highlight for me of the Basement Tapes, or one of them, Dylan's highlight, I'll say that. Dylan's highlight on the Basement Tapes. That is him singing, right? It's the first time I heard it, I was like, that's who is this? Who is this singing this song? It is not Mr. Bob Dylan, but it
That's
is,
definitely him.
yeah, but it's so far out of his normal delivery. And it's just really cool sounding, really unique. And then you got the band doing some really nice backing vocals, just a ton of flavor to the instrumentation, that rootsy feel. Really dug that one. Number 14, I Want You, Blonde on Blonde, bright and vibrant. And there's a bunch of Blonde on Blonde tracks, spoiler alert, coming up here. The contrast between the wordy verses and the simple chorus, we talked about it in the episode. Just a great juxtaposition. Dylan kind of subverting the expectations and delivering a simple line instead of maybe how he normally would go off into some prodigious, statement of flowery affection. He just wants you on this one, and that's very simple and powerful. Number 13, I'm gonna go with The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll. Really stark, really effective storytelling here. Despite the Spartan nature of the music, it's just harmonica, just guitar and Bob, and it's not even as melodically pleasing as anything was on the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. And it's a really harrowing tale, and he nails the delivery and nails the story. Number 12, my lone entry from John Wesley Harding. I'm gonna go with Dear Landlord. Really like the gospel feel to this one. If you play gospel piano, like it's just automatic. I'm gonna like it pretty much. Just those like big chord changes, and Dylan singing like a preacher man, like channeling the word of God, just feeling it running through him. Really effective performance. And anytime he plays the piano, it really sticks out. And I have a couple more of those piano songs in my list here. Number 11, though, I'm going to go Nashville Skyline, Lay Lady Lay, the crying notes of pedal steel that ring out, those kind of trotting drums, really sets the country tone. But Dylan brings in, not a country set of lyrics. It's a little more Dylan-y, Dylan-esque, a little elevated, slightly highfalutin tale of love and seduction that kind of goes beyond the bounds of country, and definitely the most Dylan song on Nashville Skyline. And that's it. That's my top or my bottom, my 11 to 20 favorite Bob Dylan songs. I don't know if you have any comments or anything like that. I feel like these are some of the songs that I've highlighted throughout the series as ones that have stuck out.
Yeah, cool list. Wasn't expecting too much of nothing in there. I don't even recall you uh, giving it that much pop in the episode, so that's a really nice surprise. Cool choice. Yeah, a lot of these songs, could have easily made my list on another day. Lay Lady Lay, definitely close. I'm not going to argue against Blowing in the Wind. The times they are changing, of course. I mean, I love each and every one of these songs. You know what? Screw it. Let's do the top 100 from the 60s. I'll give you 5 more minutes to prepare. Let's go. No, all of these songs are on my personal. I have a 406 song playlist of my favorite Bob Dylan stuff,
Is that
and
all?
uh,
Do
and
you have more
all of
than
these.
406? How many songs does he have? Have you counted all of them?
I have not counted all of them, but it's more than 406. But yeah, all these songs are on it, so I'm not going to complain about any of them. All right, my top 10. Number 10, my lone entry, as much as I love, basically all the songs on it, my one to crack the top 20 from the times they are changing is Boots of Spanish Leather. Recycles the Girl from North Country melody, but in my opinion, he writes an even better song. Gut-wrenching tale of heartbreak. But if I had the stars from the darkest night and the diamonds from the deepest ocean, I'd forsake them all for your sweet kiss, for that's all that I'm wishing to be owning. Whew. Don't do that to me, Bob. Uh, Number 9, I have Spanish Harlem Incident. Another one of my favorite Dylan vocals and melodies. I think his singing is so strong and passionate on this one. I love the acoustic guitar licks throughout this song. It goes without saying that I love the lyrics. As I'm sure I mentioned in the Another Side episode, I think it's one of his most underappreciated songs. Number eight, I think my first one here in the top 20 from this album, I've got Ballad of a Thin Man from Highway 61 Revisited. One of his most often praised songs for a reason. I love the dramatic descending progression tied together with the mysterious lyrics, Bob's piano playing combined with Al Cooper's kind of theatrical organ. They work, they create this just a perfect sound. So much great wordplay. I was actually just wondering very recently if a lot of Lennon's lyrics in Strawberry Fields Forever were subconsciously inspired by the verse in this song. The you raise up your hand, you ask, is this where it is? And somebody points to you and says it's his, and you say, what's mine? And somebody else says, where what is? And you say, oh my God, am I here all alone? And I wonder if that kind of creeped through into some of the I think a no, I mean a yes, but it's all wrong, so on and so forth. Anyway, amazing song, Out of a Thin Man. Number seven from the same album, It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry. Another one of my all-time favorite Dylan vocals. I just think it's got a superb melody and he handles it very well. And I feel like if you weren't paying attention to the lyrics, just the music and the melody, you might think it's the perfect soundtrack for a steam engine rolling away from town in the sunset with a heartbroken engineer on board. Very, very evocative. And it maybe doesn't get talked about as much because it sits on an album among so many other bigger masterpieces, but it's perfect in its own way, and it's truly one of my favorite Dylan songs. Number six, I have I Don't Believe You from Another Side of Bob Dylan. I don't think that most Bob fans would hold the song in this high regard to say it's his sixth best song of the decade, but it holds a very special place in my heart. It's a very sentimental pick. The song has been with me through a lot of hard times, and I do think it's miraculous. I love the way that the melody rises and falls. I think his guitar playing is very powerful. From darkness, dreams are deserted. Am I still dreaming yet? I get chills with this one. I really love this song. And similarly, my number five, just like Tom Thumb's Blues, I remember I saw him one time, I want to say back in 2006. He performed this song, and I knew it before then, but something about the lyrics that night just packed such an emotional punch, especially the Sweet Melinda verse. She takes your voice and leaves you howling at the moon. And it's been one of my favorite songs ever since then. I love the storytelling of the song. Another one like takes a I really gravitate towards a lot of his sort of mournful songs, like It's All Over Now, Baby Blue, Takes a Lot to Laugh. And I think that just like Tom Thumb's Blues especially has that as well. I think it's a very special song on a very special record. My number four, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Similar to Just Like a Woman, kind of this ultimate song of self-soothing, it's just saying and singing everything that he can to convince himself that it's fine, he's not the problem, throwing some pointed lines here and there, throwing a couple here and there that kind of lift the veil on the hurt that he's really feeling. Just a perfect performance of a perfect song. You just kind of wasted my precious time, but don't think twice. It's all right. My number three is It's All Right, Ma. I'm Only Bleeding from Bringing It All Back Home. He just sounds like a man totally possessed on this song, from the really quick guitar figure to the intense, focused vocal performance to the lyrics themselves, which he admitted as such many years later. Basically said, I don't know how the hell I did that. I don't know if I could ever do that again. It's still relevant all these years later, still haunting all of these years later. One of the most staggering lyrical achievements of all time. And the song itself is just incredible. Number two, Like a Rolling Stone. What do you want me to say? It deserves all the hype, praise, accolades, love that it gets. It's emotional, it's powerful, it's everything that I want out of music. It's fucking Like a Rolling Stone. I don't know what you want me to say. And number one shouldn't come as any surprise to anyone who watched our Blonde on Blonde video, Visions of Joanna. I said it was probably my favorite song of all time, so it can't not be my favorite Bob Dylan song of the 1960s. I waxed poetic enough on it in that video. I've tried not to repeat myself too much in this video, so a reminder to everyone out there, if you're stumbling upon this video and you haven't watched the series that we're doing up to this point, please go back, check out the previous episodes, see how we got here. I know that I've said a lot more about each of these songs, and about a lot of songs that were on my short list. But yeah, Visions of Joanna is all that remains for me.
Very nice. Yes, I assumed your top two would be your top two. Bit of a different approach for us, obviously, as you'll see in my top 10 compared to yours. And the album that doesn't get mentioned at all by me, be probably a surprise, maybe not a surprise, but it'll be upsetting for some people, but it's just how it played out. My number 10, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. So advanced for 1963. So, lyrically way ahead of the pack. It's simple, but it's played lovingly. The harmonica breaks are tender, and it's just one of the better acoustic singer-songwriter, songs ever written. It's that simple. Number 9, going back to Nashville Skyline for tonight. I'll be staying here with you. Really, really, really been digging Nashville Skyline. Not the last track from there either. I just appreciate the country croon there from Dylan on this. Totally got over my hang-ups there. And just a really classically country sounding track. It's great. Number 8, absolutely Sweet Marie. A lot of Blonde on Blonde on my list. Really, that's pretty comfortably my favorite Bob Dylan album. This one, it's almost proto pub rock. Got a great guitar performance from uh, everybody. Charlie McCoy, Wayne Moss, Robbie Robertson, Jerry Kennedy. They're all rocking away. And it's got a really great classic Phil Spector, Marvin Gaye-ish drum sound, which I really like as well. Number 7, Subterranean Homesick Blues, The Stream of Consciousness, or Word Salad, whatever. I don't know, but it sounds impressive the way he runs all them fancy words together. And it's just really fun and up-tempo and rousing. Great electric blues. Number 6, One of Us Must Know, Sooner or Later. Another blonde on blonde. I just love that shimmering organ part. Al Cooper just, he doesn't miss, man. Some great piano in there as well. And even when Bob's doing his really exaggerated vocals, it doesn't matter because it just all flows so beautifully together. Just a great searching, complex story, complex music, lyrics. It all works in beautiful concert together. Number 5, Most Like You, Go Your Way, I'll Go Mine. A big boisterous tune. That carnival organ part is great. Uh, Dylan's kind of playing up his exaggerated vocals here again, but in the circus atmosphere, it comes off as the right move from Bob Dylan. And band again just really delivers everything from the drums is great, the plodding boom 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 bass, just it nails the whole sound. Number 4, Ballad of a Thin Man. Dylan switches things up, playing that great. It's got to be a big grand piano or whatever he's playing. I'm assuming it's a grand piano because it sounds just massive. A lot of reverb on it as well. Weaving a tale of mystery and intrigue. It's lilting and mysterious, and there's a God honest bridge in it as well, which just gets me. I love them bridges. Number 3, positively Fourth Street. I love the Bob Dylan put downs, the acid tongue Bob Dylan, and it kind of mines the same musical territory as like Rolling Stone, which is always a good move. And just opening a song with "You've Got a Lot of Nerve" is just a classic move, and he just goes right on the attack, never lets the dude, the woman, whoever his target, his subject is, just rips him apart, moves on. It's great. the amount of gusto in his voice when he's just laying it on this dude, woman, whatever. Fantastic. Number two, I'm going with another Nashville Skyline here. I threw it all away. Just love it. I love every minute of it. I love the guitar part. It's probably my favorite acoustic guitar part in his whole catalog. There's some like Beatle-esqueness, like a George Harrison touch here. There's some organ on it. It's got a really great bridge. Might even one up Ballad of a Thin Man for favorite bridge in the Bob Dylan catalog. And he sings it really, really simply, beautifully. Like rarely do I say a Dylan vocal is beautiful, but I think he pulls it off on that one. Number one, Like a Rolling Stone, that should come as no surprise. I'm not going to fight what I know in my heart is true. One of the best organ parts in history from Al Cooper. Dylan's just accusatory vocal performance is just amazing, spot on. Just the way he sings now you don't talk so loud, now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging your next meal. Just the fire and the fury and the venom just kind of like oh inside is great. And then you got killer guitar work from Mike Bloomfield, extremely. It doesn't get mentioned as much as Al Cooper's organ part, but I think the guitar work is just as important on it. It is fantastic. And it's a great song. It was in my songs of the year in 65, even when I didn't like Bob Dylan. So imagine how I feel about it now.
Yeah, I mean, as deserving a number one as there is. Great list.
Thank you.
By my count, one, two, three, four, five, only six matches across our top 20, but I don't take, I mean, I made my mock list and Positively 4th Street, I think I had right at like 22, 23. One of Us Must Know I had bubbling right underneath. Love seeing I threw it all away so high up there.
Love it.
You know, Nashville Skyline, this was a bit of a redemptive album in some
Was
ways.
definitely.
Yeah, I don't take issue with any of these. I mean, like I said, I could probably easily make at least a top 50 to 75, if not a top 100, but
The big difference clearly between us comes down to the one album, and it's Another Side of Bob Dylan. Nothing from there really just tickled my fancy enough to make my list. I don't dislike the album, but going back through it, it just nothing on there was jumping out at me for a top 20.
I mean, well, and that's how it is. I mean, I feel like I don't know, I probably didn't defend quote unquote John Wesley Harding as well as I could have or should have, because like I do thoroughly enjoy John Wesley Harding, but that's another one where it's like when I'm making my list here, like as I went out one morning was definitely kind of bubbling somewhat underneath, but that album, none of the songs on that album stood a chance for me, not because I don't like those songs, but I'm looking at my number 20 and my number 19. I'm like, these are just my favorite songs of all time already. I mean,
Tough. It's
there's
tough.
such a wealth to choose from. I only had one from Times They Are Changing, like, but I could have easily had Lonesome Death of Patty Carroll. I could have easily had the title track. I mean, it's such a great wealth of stuff, and the 70s is going to be very, very interesting and diverse.
Well, we will get into that soon enough with self-portrait. That'll be fun.
Let's
Uh,
go.
and we'll just work our way through. But this kind of puts a bow on the 60s. So, check out all of our episodes right here on Taste Like Music. Start from the beginning, watch them all, get to here. You'll see our lists. It'll all make sense then. And, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, check out Facebook, Instagram, X, Patreon, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the 1970s. I, I did that thing again. I left myself nowhere to
I
go.
think you can. I think you can cut it off right before
I'll
that.
see.
Uh,
It's gonna end anyway, so there's nothing I
Yeah,
can do. I can't
we
say
nailed it.
it's gone.
Good app. Cool.